Welcome back to the Automation Podcast, the world's #1 industrial automation product and technology show, thanks to you, our audience of highly skilled automation professionals. Thank you for being a member of our audience, and thank you for tuning back in this week. Now, for those new to the show, my name is Shawn Tierney of Insights in Automation, and each week I invite a new vendor on the show to talk about products and technologies, and during their presentation, I play the role of the audience, asking questions I think you may have, as well as questions and comments I have based on my experience. Now, given that over a quarter of our audience listens to the show, I'll also try to call attention to any details in the visuals that I think the listen-only audience will want to know about. So with that said, I want to welcome Marc and Harry from Tatsoft back on the show. It's actually been 4 years. It goes all the way back to podcast 65 when they were last on. So I'm going to start the show by asking them to reintroduce themselves to our audience, and then we're going to learn about what's new with FrameworX, the latest and greatest release. So with that, Marc, why don't you go first?
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm working this automation for more than 3 decades now. I had some other business. You may have heard about one of them that was Indosofts. And the idea to create Tatsoft was to prepare a platform for the future. So I introduced the first version 10 years ago, and now we are doing our major evolution on that platform. With that, I call you Harry.
Thanks for having us, Shawn. Harry McCullum, the president of Tatsoft. My background, I've been in the industrial automation software space for a long time, 30 plus years. Started way back in the days of Intolution, if anyone really remembers that name, it's been a while. My role is really, kind of go-to market, customer-facing role.
And as I did point it, we are celebrating 3 decades automation, 15 years in the company with this new release.
Yeah, and we basically are a software company, right? We make powerful, open industrial software for SCADA, HMI, data management, industrial data management, and IIoT. FrameworX version 10 is our new release, which we're going to be talking a lot about today. And it's really our next generation scalable platform for creating real-time solutions. As Marc mentioned, we were founded 15 years ago. We're an agile, independent software company. I think that's a key thing, is because we don't have any affiliations with any of the big hardware companies. We're agile in that we are very responsive to our customers' needs. And yeah, I think that, industry-wise, a big part of our original market focus was OEMs, and we have a real strong OEM base of customers with very creative brand label partners. And our software and our company is well adapted to OEMs, because we can, again, back to that agile, we can customize our software as well as fully brand labeled. So that's a big part of our market, as well as systems integrators and a whole group of partners, reseller partners. We're in many different vertical industries, including oil and gas, power, manufacturing, and transportation, to name a few. We're located in Houston, offices in Chicago and Brazil, and we have a global network of resellers and SI partners. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Marc.
That's about ourselves and the company. Shawn, would like me to give an overview of FrameworX in general, or any questions before that?
No, just for the audio audience, I would say there was a lot of big end users on that slide as well. Oil and gas, food and beverage, consumer products. So I just want to I'm not going to go ahead and read them all, but just it seems like you guys play in all these different spaces. And let me turn it back to you, Marc.
Yes, from the very beginning, not only Tatsoft, my previous companies as well, we always try to be a foundational software, meaning the word platform is always a key concept, and we have the partners to explore the many verticals. And in that concept of trying to be the foundation of the framework software, we fully embrace that now with the new version that we call frameworks, is that pretty much we have all the building blocks to the traditional tasks you need to do when you have real-time data applications. So an easy way to explain where is our focus as a company, if you have any application that has collection, visualization, data transformation, but anything that's related to real-time data, hard real-time data, that's where we try to be a useful tool. And the typical tasks you do around that data is modeling the data itself, doing storing, alarming, getting communication with many communication protocols, and of course visualization, and all the typical tasks around your industrial data. That's just another view to understand the same concepts. But this slide adds one thing that's very important in our company when you compare with products out there. It's these parts here. We not only have a bunch of tools for the end users and integrators, but the key point, we are built in an open platform, open technologies. So our software is 100% created in top of .NET, meaning when developing applications, you have the benefit of our tools, but you can also access to those underlying and open technologies where our software is based upon. And to finalize that overview of our concepts in general, to deploy an application solution for our platform, those are the three main simple steps that we provide the tools to simplify that execution. The first step typically is to connect and collect. So we enable that by having, at no additional cost, 70 plus native communication protocols. So we have also OPC UA client and server built in, as well MQTT broker and custom drivers like Rockwell, CodeSys, PLCs, and Siemens. But on top of that, to best performance and simplify the integration, in our case, typically don't need to buy external communication tools because we have all those protocols for industrial devices included in the platform. Then, when you have your data, the next step typically is to process and store. And in that place, in version 10, I believe we did a great step because I am, as far as I know, the only products that you can do your customization in C#, VB.NET, or Python. And not only you can select in between those three languages, but you can intermix the languages when doing that programming. And a very strong foundation for alarm, storing, reports, JSON data, SQL databases is all part of what you call process and store. And finally, we provide the final steps. That's the visualization and data analysis. So we provide an easy way to connect to specific data analysis tools that are typically third-party tools, and everything to the visualization we have built in. So we'll talk about that later, but we can deploy applications for Windows like process control operators for factory floor displays. And we also have the fastest web interface right now. If you need real-time graphics on the web, we have the top of the market speeds for that as well. So for the ones that are only with the audio, the three steps are connect and collect data with our built-in protocols, process and store the data with the built-in modules, and finally, the visualization with the advanced tools we have to create that user interface. And we'll not go on the details, but we have all the solutions from the edge, small cost devices only to do data collection, up to the license that you can install to monitor large-scale applications. And by large scale, it can be real large scale. One of the largest cities in South America, that's São Paulo, has almost a good part of their electricity grids managed by our solution with our hundreds of thousands of real-time points. With that, Shawn, any questions or highlights before we try to go more into the new version?
Yeah, I think on that last slide, it did a really good job of showing the different tiers you have there. So we know we have Framework X, right? And so you have at the bottom the Edge Gateway for IoT, then you have your Edge HMI, and then you have your Factory Studio, which is your that system, and then the unlimited package. So that shows me that, this looks like there's different price points here as you go through, and that, it's kind of like buy what you need and you get what you need. And that really, because I was kind of wondering, well, where is Factory Studio in all of this? So this makes sense. So thank you for going back to that slide, and that kind of gives me a good idea of how you sell it in different levels for different applications.
In fact, thanks for reminding that slides. I forgot to mention two key points here. Mm-hmm. Number one, the development tool to create the solutions, whatever are in the edge or on a high-end critical system, is only one. So the exactly same configuration tool allows you to create applications to all that stack, and it's easily to move solutions up and down that stack, or create reusable components that can be shared across that stack. And this one development tool, can also deploy applications for multi-platform or Windows, the same tool. And final one, it's free now in version 10. So we are no longer charging for the configuration tools, only for the license you put in production.
Is there some way to test with that development tool without owning a license? So if a engineer wants to start a new project, do they get a limited time, or do they have to buy the what we used to call the runtime before they can do any development?
There is no need to buy the runtime, because the configuration tool is completely free with no limitation of time. You can spend all days drawing your screens or playing the configuration tool. The only limitation without the license, the production, doing the data collection and doing the archives for storing, will run only for 2 hours.
Okay? Okay. Yep.
But after those 2 hours, we can restart the runtime. So essentially, the configuration is completely unlimited, no restriction, functionality, or time. And the execution of the solution in production, you need to run in batches of 2 hours only.
Well, that gives any engineer out there who wants to take a look at it and say, okay, I've heard what we're going to see in version 10 and what's new. And if they want to try it, that's great, because they can actually get their feet wet and actually see how it works, try some of the things before they actually go to the boss and says, okay, I need to get some money for some runtimes. So thank you for answering that question. I'll turn it back to you, Marc.
Okay. And what you try to do on version 10, we have some specific items in mind. Of course, to make the software more efficient and to give you an easier access on the data to make the decisions on your industrial application, to be more scalable, because we have some applications running in embedded devices as small as ARM CPU running Linux or Raspberry Pis, up to computers with 24 cores and nearly 100 gigabytes of RAM. So we did an effort in version 10 to make keep working to be really scalable. But the top 2 items we did was to put new technologies and new organization to allow the adoption on what's going to happen on the next few years. Of course, there is lots of things that are happening and will happen in the area of AI, in the area of analytics. So one important thing about version 10 is not only the new features that we'll talk in this presentation, but some internal structures we put at the core already planning for what will be come in on the next few years. And the second big item was to simplify the user experience. One thing that I can acknowledge by our product is, for the guys that know my history, many people loved my previous product line at Indosoft because it was very simple to use. When we put out Tatsoft, the new generation, it was way, way more powerful than whatever I did on the past. But the feedback we got, not always that easy to use. So our first experience with the new platform is that when the integrators were able to learn its potential and how the best way to do the things, they could do anything with great performance. But the steps, the learning curve for that was not ideal. So one of the top efforts we did in version 10, yes, we have new technology, we have great performance and connectivity tools, but perhaps the number one improvement was to redesign completely the user interface to make more accessible and make easier to new users. Those were our main goals on that new generation. And any of those 5 items that I'm showing here call your attention, Shawn? Scalable, new technology, performance, connectivity, and easy to use. Any question there?
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely covered the easy to use part, and I think that's good because there's a lot of people retiring who, like Harry said, use the old iFix, right? Or use the old InTouch, or use the old View 32, or, and so new people coming in, they need something modern that's more like Visual Studio, more like .NET, more like the standards that they're seeing out there in the field. So I think that's big. And I mean, one thing that you said in connectivity, the MQTT and the OPC UA, I mean, those are the things that that modern systems have. So it's good to see that. And of course, I won't read the entire slide, but the fact that it's the fastest, lightest weight release that you've had so far, and you said you're faster than other HMI SCADA packages in the HTML5 range is always good to hear as well. So let me turn it back to you, Marc.
Yes, and in fact, we're going to show that in a bit, okay?
Okay.
I think what would be useful for us to know is to go briefly around 5 or 6 top items.
Mm-hmm.
That's not by far everything that you have in the release, but we can call that the top 5 or top 6. Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 1, as I did mention, the same configuration we can deploy in a Linux environment. Now, Windows environments we can deploy on Docker. And in fact, we can deploy in any operating system that supports .NET 8. For the ones that are not familiar of .NET 8, .NET 8 is the framework Microsoft created. They used to call that .NET Core, but it's the portable and open source version of .NET. So many versions of Linux, the Mac OS, there are many devices that can run .NET 8, and we can run in any of those devices. And going beyond that, we also did some custom tools for some embedded hardware. So if you have a Cisco router, depends on the model, we can run our software right inside the Cisco router. You don't need to put an extra IPC. We can run the full system inside the router. We can run also communication gateways to MQTT inside the product line of the Universal Robots in some of their products. So you can deploy in a variety of hardwares. And one thing that some people forget, it's nice to be multi-platform. There are solutions out there based in Java that are also multi-platform, but they don't use all the Windows potential. So when I mean that we are multi-platform, it's not only that you can run in any other OS, like Linux. It means also that when running Windows, we can do Active Directory. We can do the Windows authentication APIs. We can do native integration with Windows applications. So we are what, I don't have a name for that, probably should have some multi-platform plus plus or something like that. Because it's not only that we can create a solution that can run in any OS. Beyond that, if running Windows, we can use specific features available only in Windows. Okay, that's a very important point on the platform. And for ones that have the video, what you see on the right side, or not even run the software, is pretty much how easy it is to select or change the target in between Windows or multi-platform. Another key concept that we added, I cannot say that's completely new on the industry, but I think we are the first ones that put clear those concepts and create specific features in the product for that, okay? All the SCADA products I worked so far in my life, not only my company, but doing evaluation of the competition. When you have formal factory acceptance tests, you need to do a formal FAT or SAT. You do your tests in the development environments or in the validation environments using a testing database, using a testing PLC, using an environment, not the production environment, of course. But then, when you need to move that to production environment, guess what? Your connection with the database is not the same. The username and password for that database, another one, of course, now it's the production database. Or the IP addresses of your PLCs, they're not the same in the production, in the development, or on the validation environments. And the people start to change that manually or create by brute force configuration files. Do you know what it happens? Besides being a waste of time, all the security and all being reliable you did with FAT goes away. Because after you have the solution fully approved, we start to modify manually all the connections. So we create the concept of execution profiles that allows you to easily switch between development, validation, or production environments and have a centralized way to manage which connection should be used in each environment. So your configuration file, so your solution remains only one, and you can manage that in a much easier and reliable way. Good. Next one, I did talk about high performance graphics, okay? And so we create that concept of portable displays, that the same display you can run in Windows or in web, okay? And for that, I've probably better to switch the products, okay? We have this screen here that's a very old style HMI. This screen was created like 20 years ago. It looks like old HMI because it is, okay? But the key point is this display was not created to run in web at all. In fact, for ones that have the video, otherwise perhaps you can post a screenshot in the comment section, but it's a very rich production line with lots of moving parts in conveyors and wheels spinning. It's a very heavy display. And with our software, when you open that page in HTML5, you get the pretty much exactly same type of visualization that you would have under the Windows native graphics, under the HTML5 graphics. So help me here, Shawn. For the ones that cannot have the video, only the audio, what difference you see between the native Windows WPF version and the web version? How they compare in terms of performance and resolution?
Yeah, so for the audio audience, we're looking at a classic SCADA screen or HMI screen. We have different numbers and displays and graphs, and then we have a production line. In this case, it's a truck that's getting assembled, doors and windows and everything, depending on what station they are. It's a very good-looking screen. I'm sure everybody's seen something similar to this in an HMI or SCADA package before. But the what we're seeing here in the web browser is identical. Of course, depending on the size of the web browser, it's smaller, right? So, but it seems like that doesn't bother the screen at all. The what size the web browser is, it's scaling without, it just looks great. No matter we scale down or up, it's looking good to me. So, it doesn't, if the aspect ratio is a little off, it doesn't seem to bother it as well. It seems to adjust. So if it's a little narrower or taller, it seems to be adjusting on the fly as well. So that's what I would explain to the audio audience, what we're seeing here. For the visual audience, hopefully I did a good job, and that looks like what you're seeing. But back to you, Marc.
Exactly. And the point is this display has thousands of objects with
Oh
dynamic
yeah.
properties. It's not a dashboard with 5 or 6 items because this display was created originally from Windows. It has optimization at all. So each one of those small wheels is a bunch of 10, 15 internal shapes and symbols. So we have here thousands of graphical elements running with high performance in web, and the loading time was also quite short. And you don't see really frankly, don't see difference of performance in between native Windows or HTML5. And what's nice, special to our users, or if you have Windows created before, not for the web, is that those portable displays allow you to pick up your legacy HMI drawings and run also on the web. So this very high performance that I dare to say is the top #1 in the market right now regarding how the performance you have on the web. You don't need to create the display specifically to web. You can create the display to run also in Windows natively if you want to, or you can even pick up your previous displays created only for Windows, and with zero effort, the platform does that for you. You can have that now also available on the web. Okay. And of course, we support also dashboards and more traditional displays. That's a given, okay? The same way, I'll not go over detail, but yes, we have thousands of built-in symbols and a very extensive library of components to do that, okay? Perhaps the only thing I will highlight on the products, and Shawn also you help me to give the users with audio only what I mean by that, to have an idea on the effort we put to simplify or make a better user experience. I believe we are on the only one automation tools on the market that we have dark and light themes. So like many desktop applications, not in automation, we provide 6 color schemas with light backgrounds and 6 color schemas with dark backgrounds. So you can make the UI the best for you to work on that time. And that theme configuration is not only for the designer tool, it's also the applications you are creating. So if I create a solution to a company that wants to have the same displays with light and dark backgrounds, according the shift or according the illumination of the room, we have that ability built in the platform. And I don't think you'll see much of that in industrial automation, do you, Shawn?
No, and it's so helpful too, because sometimes at night, if the area is not being lit, having that darker background's better because there's not as much outdoor light if you have a lot of windows. But during the day when, kind of like your car display, right? Well, during the day when the sun is out and bright and coming through the windows, you want a lighter, brighter background. So yeah, I can see this being definitely helpful.
Yes. And again, that's one of the many features we have because we created the platform 10 years ago from scratch. the Tatsoft product. And this release, that's a major one we do, that we completely renew. We also did a revision from core up. So you cannot pick up a legacy existing solution and try to add it on top. The result not be great. So those are some examples of features that need to be right on the core, okay? And very briefly, because again, that's more visual, but the way you organize the software UI is we have one tool that allows you to manage many applications, because a big chunk of our customers are system integrators. So they are not working only in one solution, only in one project. So we have that concept that you can be working in many projects at the same time. The same way you can be working many PowerPoints at the same time, you can work in many solutions at the same time. So we provide the solution managers that allow you to start, stop, and manage all the solutions you have in your computer, exchange components in between those solutions. And we have the designer. That's how you call the configuration tool, where you do the details of that specific solution, okay? And if someone here already had an experience of a previous product line, you really need to download and see, because those configuration tools, they are complete renewals, okay? And one key part of that configuration tool is that we fully embraced the concept of unified namespace. You probably heard some of the podcasts from Walker Reynolds talk about unified namespace for many years ago. And our software really embraced that concept. So when you do your solution, we have nice tools where you can define a data model, you can organize your data, either follow as 95 specification, whatever data model you want, and easy ways to extend that data model. And one thing that we did in this release that also new to the industry, it's very common the SCADA, you talk about analog data, digital data, but you went beyond that data model. So we have tags, real-time variables of type data tables, of type JSON. So we have advanced data types, not typical in operational software, and also some advanced tools. I'll not go in detail today, but to allow dynamic connections. It means if I'm doing, for instance, a solar panel monitoring or any IoT application where they are adding and removing assets dynamically, you can create applications that will react to the data. It's not that you add some new sensor, you need to modify the solution. We have the ability to create dynamic data connections and dynamic displays that will be responsive to the data itself, okay? A little bit about the technology. Python is growing a lot, so we put a way that you can use any Python version in between our software. And if it's Python 3.7 up, you can intermix Python and .NET. It means you can have .NET codes calling Python and vice versa. And also nowadays, there is lots of data exchange using JSON, queries to databases, XML data. So the idea of our platform, Shawn, is to make easy to the configuration. That means we put all those editors built in. So if I switch now to the software configuration tool, you see here we have my configuration home page that shows the recent items I changed in the projects. And on the left side, we have the tree structure, showing the many modules that you need to do configuration. So some of those modules are very simple, the configuration, like alarms would be pretty much a table with the alarms. To the items that are more advanced, like SQL queries, codes, and items like that, we have the built-in code editor. So what I'm showing right now, that you can create your Python codes right inside our designer tool. not having to rely with external tools. That not only speeds up the time, but we can apply securities. You can protect easily who will see or who will not see that code. And you also will benefit from our built-in change management tools. So whatever you are doing, code in C#, Python, VB.NET, or if you are writing SQL queries, or if you are modeling, as I'm showing now, some JSON data, we have all the actions built in to allow that configuration to be in a more consistent way and easier to manage the life cycle of that application. Before I start to talk about Data Explorer, Shawn, any comments on the previous slides?
No, I think that they were all straightforward. Thank you.
Okay. Well, the next one, I myself, when I start working automation, first we had the specification to build the data and didn't have the data when the project was starting. Nowadays, many solutions are the opposites. You have the data. The data is there in an MQTT broker, or the PLC programming was already created, whatever is Rockwell, Code Sys, or another one, or you have an OPC UA server with the data, or you have a SQL database with the data. So many applications, there are 4 typical data sources that are MQTT, PLCs, OPC UA, and SQL databases. So what we did to that kind of solution, we have in our products what you call the Data Explorer tools. With simulation tools like OPC, we have an OPC simulator, we have OPC UA client server. For PLC, we can search the network for control logics or code sys compatible PLCs. We can explore SQL queries. But I'll give a simple example with MQTT. So I'm going to put to run our built-in broker. One of the features we have for MQTT is we can connect with any third-party broker, but we also supply out of the box a built-in broker. The same way we supply a built-in simulator. So right now I put to run, I am exploring the data from a broker. Could be, of course, an external broker. And if I want to use that data in my application, the same way I could explore PLC data, if one click, I can make that data visible to your specific solution. I'll not go in the details because it's not a training, it's a highlights, but with that one click, we can do everything you need. So if you want to use that data now in your unified namespace, that data will be there, available to be used as an element in your unified namespace. If you want that data to be used inside screens, you just put your objects there, and that data will be available also to be used in your user interface. So, and we have that for MQTT, as I mentioned, PLCs, OPCUA, and SQL queries. And last one, most of our, I think not most, but correct me if I'm wrong, Shawn, I believe many of your users, they are very technical, like automation engineers or really working factory floor. Is that fair to say that a good piece of your audience is very technical on the details on the factory floor?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So they probably relate with the fact that I myself started as a field engineer doing startups. And one thing I learned is that when you are on the factory floor, really putting the thing to work for real or trying to understand what's happening, you need very good, powerful diagnostic tools, okay?
Yeah.
So we do have, since we had that in the previous generation on the software, by the way, but in this generation, we enhance those diagnostic tools, and most important, we make them easier to use. So we have things that some of the products, they are putting press release, say, oh, we'll support offline and online configuration. I would say, wow, forget about that. We have been doing that for 15 years, okay? Not only supporting online offline configuration, but allowing to do hot reloads of the application, hot swapping of the programming, as well tools to compare what's loaded in the device with an external configuration file to point you the difference in between those tools. So I'll not go, of course, the details of the many tools, but I'd like to point out that a key point of our software and some nice potential dashboard-only tool is we can do applications that really will perform on the factory floor and mission-critical operations. Not only because of the diagnostic tools that we have, but the performance itself. If I am a web user, a manager looking dashboards or Amazon shopping carts, it's fine to wait 1 or 2 seconds for a display to refresh. But if I'm an operator in the factory floor on a critical facility and I touch my UI and I don't have a reaction in less than 300 milliseconds, many people here in the audience understand that the HMI really needs to be IP65 because the operator really tried to crash that HMI.
That is so true.
Yeah. So we were born, we have all the new fancy tools to create responsive dashboards, but my final piece of message I want to put out is that we are designed from the core to be an operations tool, to be able to handle also the industrial piece of the IT, OT operations and IT integrations. We have the IT tools, all the new ones, but we have an unmatched experience on the operation itself, and that reflects on how the product was designed. So that's it. This final slide is how you see when using the software. You have the solution managers that shows all the applications you have, the many targets of Linux, Windows. Then you have the designer that allows you to create and customize your solution. Then you put that solution in execution, where you have your real-time unified namespace. You have your modules like alarms, staging, data analysis. You have, of course, distributed clients, whatever are mobile, web, or a native Windows applications, and a strong set of utilities to help you manage the life cycle of that solution. That's it, Shawn.
No, that's good. Congratulations again on the release. It seems like you guys really did a lot in just bringing out a product that's a little ahead of the game, I would say, in some areas, and definitely has all the features that people are asking for today, as far as like full OPC UA support and MQTT support and all the databases. We didn't go through the list of databases, but all the big databases are supported there, and all the scripting languages, including in JSON, and it's just it's just the list of your, as we went through, it just seemed like there was a lot there. Was there anything else, Marc, you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm not really using our time showing specific demos, especially some of the use they are audio only. But if you download the software, we install 5 demos that you can run, like a brewery process, an undone process, a solar panel monitoring or OE application, a pipe integration. So if you decide to download the configuration tool, you don't need to really create any solution, because we install 6 simple use cases to some screens, so you can have an idea on how it's look in real life scenarios.
Yeah, I can definitely see between the one that's running right now, the car manufacturing, the brewery, and the process. I can see a lot of just your classic SCADA systems look like those. So that should give, if you're listening, I think those 3 would be like, all right, yeah, I have SCADA systems out there that look like these. But it's nice to see the OE too, because that's such a big thing today. And yeah.
In fact, that versatility, if I can put one last message, we can do traditional SCADA and traditional HMI. That's for sure. Okay, I'm doing that for 3 decades, if you know my previous product lines. But this, especially with this new version, it's really a complete solution to any type of real-time application. So if you need to go low end, putting out data collections, low-cost data collector for storage packages, or embedded HMIs, or if you need to go to the IT side, doing data aggregation from manufacturers, or putting web dashboards for situational awareness solutions, or applications that we have very tight integration with IT packages. So we really grow the platform to be able to deploy the traditional SCADA very easily, as some of the demos are pointing out, but to be what people in the market start talk about 15 years ago, if not more, about OT and IT integration. And the lines in between situation awareness, data hubs, intelligent hubs, and SCADA. Some people are saying 10, 20 years ago that those lines will become blur, and some applications will be, in fact, a mix of that all. In that context, FrameworX was created. So you can do the traditional low-level HMI, traditional SCADA. You can do dashboards, or you can do applications that is really even hard to classify, because pretty much are deploying real-time solutions around real-time data, whatever the end goal of that application is. That's what FrameworX is intended for.
Well, and I think, I mean, the fact that now the developers, you can actually try it out, and anybody can. Now, let me ask you that though. So let's say somebody's watched or listened to the show, and they said, "All right, yeah, I do want to learn more." Where do you want them to go to find out more about the company, more about your product? Maybe where they can download the software and so on.
Yeah, well, that was an easy one. Just go to tatsoft.com, our company website, and right there on the homepage, you have the option to download our demo. And in fact, perhaps I need to talk with our Marc, because it's much more than the demo. We could replace that, download our free engineer and configuration tool.
Yeah.
It's much more than the demo that are downloaded here. Don't be surprised the next few weeks or months you'll see that web page being updated, because it's more than the demo. This link allows you to download the free engineering and configuration tool.
All right, and if you're driving down the road listening, it's tatsoft.com, tatsoft.com. So now you guys know. And with that, I wonder if we should check in with Harry to see if he has anything to add. Harry, you've been sitting there listening the whole time?
Yeah, no, I think Marc's done a great job giving you the overview, and I think it's it's an exciting time for us here at Tatsoft, and we just encourage everybody to take a look at us, and we're here to support you any way we can.
Yeah, and I would say anybody listening, if you have questions you want me to forward over to them, I'd be more than happy to do so. Just let me know. And, it's always exciting when you come out with with a brand new version that's like, has all these great new features, and, it's been modernized and brought up to really next gen standards, right? So anybody out there, if you want me to send it up to Marc or Harry, let me know and I'll do so. And Marc, I'll give you the final word.
Well, I really like to put my thanks to you and for our audience the opportunity. And we do that because our business, but it's also our passion. As Harry pointed out, we really work in that niche for lots of years, and we do that with lots of passion. We really like what we do, and that really makes a difference. It's more than the business, it's what we be driven and excited to do for many years.
Yeah, that's who you want to work for. You don't want to work for somebody who's just looking to make the next sale. You want to work for somebody who's passionate about their products. And so, Marc, Harry, and the team, I want to thank you all for coming on the show this week. And I really enjoyed it. So I hope the audience did too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Shawn.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I want to thank Marc and Harry for coming back on the show to tell us all about their latest and greatest release of their Tatsoft FrameworX SCADA package. Very interesting stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy that too. I also want to thank them for sponsoring this episode. Did you notice? Completely ad-free. I love it, and I really want to thank them for doing so. And if you want to find out more about their product, the links will be in the description. Now, with that said, if you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to give us a like, a sub, and a share. That's the only way to grow our audience and find new vendors to come on the show and to keep this show going. So if you do enjoy listening to this show every week, please give us a like and consider subscribing or following. And with that, if you know anybody looking for PLC, HMI, or SCADA training, please have them check out theautomationschool.com. I not only have online courses, which I've been offering for over a decade, I now do in-person training. We've already had 8 classes here at the office, and we're looking to have more. So I love doing in-person training. So reach out to me directly if you know anybody who needs training, and we can see if we can set something up. Typically, you can train up to 4 people for 4 days. Less than you can send one person somewhere else. So it's a really good deal, and we can customize it. If it's something I know, I don't mind teaching it. I don't mind mixing HMIs with PLCs. I don't even mind mixing Allen Bradley with Siemens. We can cover whatever you want. And with that, I just want to wish you all an awesome week. I want to wish you good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.